Hey guys, this is Mario brand strategist and founder of ManuFracture, here with another episode of Ambitions of an Agency. Today, I'm going to go through and show you how I create my content to position myself as an authority in whatever I do. So let's first get the myths or whatever the facts straight, right out the gate. So to be an authority, you don't need much, right? Um, the thing is, everyone looks at look at these influencers, look at these authorities, and people who are online who are relevant to people and their problems and are solving problems and creating impact in the world, whatever it is. There's actually a way to get to that sort of level where you can command that type of respect. And the way to do that is obviously playing the long game, right? Because in authorities, it's over time, right? You're here forever. You're here forever as long as you live, you're here forever to solve this problem or, be relevant in the industry or whatever, right? So that's the first thing, right? So you can become an authority on something, an expert on something, and it's actually much easier than you think to do. So the first thing is generating content, relevant content. You have to generate over a period of time a mass amount of content. And this is not just because, you need to just put out a bunch of stuff so people can see it like it's a reach thing. That makes sense. But it's also about refining your process, right? So as you're writing, you're actually refining your process over time, right? My process has changed in the last 2 to 3 months uh, significantly from going from just like I said in my last video, figuring out, I want to do for lead generation for branding, lead generation slash lead generation for real estate brokerages, and then I moved on and then I found something in my calls that changed me to do commercial real estate. Then I went that way, that way, that way, started getting much more reach, much more calls, much more significance, right? Because there's not much noise in that industry as someone who's just a pure generalist, right? So that helps because you're specifying your content. As your content gets sharper and sharper and sharper, it gets more relevant, more relevant, more relevant, until one day you can get a call right off the content. And that's what I'm working for, right? I'm working to the point that I figure out so much my target audience that I can immediately pinpoint exactly what the pains are and push it out, right? So obviously, how do you do that, right? How do you go out and you create content that's relevant to people in a low cost way, right? Because as a small business, you don't have amount of money or resources to go against and look for purchased customer data. And actually, I would advise against picking up purchased customer data in mass, because that's just past data, right? That's just past data. That's not even relevant data anymore. That's data that's like 2, 3, 4 years old or 1 year old. you know it's not relevant. It's not the actual pulse of the audience, right? The actual pulse of the audience is going directly to them and questioning them and asking them, right? And so that's when you come in with two things, right? And I'm going to definitely go in more depth with this with market validation video. I'm going to do a video on market validation, but for now we're just talking about content. So I'm going to keep it to content. So when doing content, you have to get on sales calls. To get that data, you need to get on sales calls. You need to talk to these people and ask them questions. And you ask them, indirect questions. You ask them questions that, bring out the info that you need. And so, for example, here, I just had a call here with a guy. If I can just, obviously it's blank, but because it's an audio file, but if you just,
Well, if I got a tenant interested in the marketplace, I can get them leads. That's not a problem. If I get them to the market, I'll figure out a solution to get them to the space. But I need once I get them,
Boom. So right there, you realize that I just asked a question, or not really asked a question. Well, I already asked a question, but do you see the response to that question was something of a pain, an actual pain? That pain came out, not by me asking what's the biggest pain or whatever. It's just it came out, and when it came out, now you can create content out of this. And I have plenty of calls that I do this with, and so I just have this big ass Google Doc here. Then I come here. So basically, I just write down everything I figure out in my call. If I can just show you here. I don't know if that's working. Let me just try this. It's better. Yeah. Probably edit this in, but yeah. So basically, you come here. So all the stuff that they said in the call, you write down. Right? I go verbatim. I go into the call and I actually type down exactly what the person said. I find that if you put the exact thing that the person says, it's actually more valid, more poignant, more effective. So, from a company standpoint, we could always market ourselves better. We blah blah blah, properties for CoStar. Bigger tenants are being rep by the other bigger firms. That's one I'm going to write about. We rep a lot of properties. Properties aren't moving as fast as we want, right? So yeah, there's just a ton of things, how do we get investors to come and look at us, you know, how do we want to be perceived in the marketplace? How can you be and then I figure out there's the problem, right? So you have to go through this entire thing and you have to see exactly. So right here, how can you be the best in the market if you can't reach the people you want to work with? That is like an insight right there from the call, right? So you extract all the information and then you figure out an insight exactly about the call, right? Exactly about the call. And then you understand exactly what the problem is of the client, right? And this might be a possible client. This might not be. This might be somebody who you might have not gotten as a client. It doesn't matter, right? All these calls are good to understand exactly what the target audience is thinking about. So you actually have an understanding of the exact pain that they're experiencing, and you can write content off that, actually relevant content. So you see here, let me go again, show you here. So here it says this is my content post for today. So you're the best. You have tons of commercial real estate experience. You know the area like the back of your hand. You can close deals like nobody's business. So why is it that you're the best yet no one's coming to you? All you really need is leads, right? And so that's the main problem I tried to basically show within this thing, basically stating the problem, going in depth about the problem, telling them about the problem, and then going into the solution of the problem, which I know now. Oh, I can provide that, right? And once you get into the habit of doing this, like I said, you go to sales calls, you extract information, you adjust, and you're constantly evolving, adapting. But in the long term, you're going to be seen as an expert because you've created this sort of backlog of ton of content. And the main thing is to really first so the first thing that we discussed here is first get understanding of the target audience and start posting content about it. Basically, in this format of talking about the pain, talking about the solution, stretching out the pain and stretching out the solution, and then offering the solution, right? And then the next part is to go into groups and to actually post and into relevant groups. So there's a lot of groups that I post in that are like real estate, whatever, etc. And whatnot. And there's a lot of interesting things about that. So you can go into LinkedIn groups. I already showed you before. LinkedIn groups are great. You go in. I'm in a bunch of groups right now. You just post your content there. Don't expect to get a high return immediately. It's not going to happen. This is something that takes time. But in the last 2 to 3 months, I'm already seeing a growth, and people are commenting on my posts. I'm getting some good advice, some good market feedback, right? Because sometimes it's really good to get some feedback from actually people who are in the industry as well, and you may not have direct contact with them, but they see your post and they want to interact with you. So yeah, those are basically the two things you need to do to start to create authority in you, apart from brand positioning and whatnot. But this is mainly the whole thing that comes with putting out daily and showing. This is the actions basically you do to show that you're an authority in this space. And really, that's all you need. You need relevant, relevant data and understanding of your target market, right? No one can deny that because it comes right from the customer's mouth. And if you have plenty of calls and plenty of experience in those calls, you can already be calling yourself an expert because you've already dissected so much info that other people have not dissected that much info from calls. No, not many people actually do this. So that separates you already. Second, your reach. First of all, long-term reach, basically. You take all your content ideas from your calls and then you post them out every single day or every single week, being very consistent in what you do. And doing that action, first gives you reach because it shows everyone that you're in there, you're relevant, and then you have relevant data to back that up. And now you can be an expert, really. Now, when the time comes, when people actually look up you and want to actually do work with you, then you actually have to deliver your results to them. And that's the next step, right? So if you're really starting from scratch and you have no people to work with, then these first people, you need to get results for them, no matter what. It doesn't matter what your experience is. It doesn't matter what, things are, barriers of entry, whatever. You have to actually back up that expertise with your results. And that's it, really. So yeah, hope you learned something from this video, and I will see you in the next one. Turn on notifications, subscribe, and yeah, I will see you in the next Ambitions of an Agency. See ya. Bye.